is a presentation of IMG College. Live from Brother Jimmy's on Easton Avenue in New Brunswick, this is the Kyle Flood Show. Your chance to talk Rutgers football with the head coach of the Scarlet Knights.
Rutgers with 9 on the line. They're coming and blocked. He got it. He could go. Sideline 20, 10. Adios, compadres.
To be a part of the show, call toll free 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-FLOOD-44. Now we go inside Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick. Alongside Coach Kyle Flood, here's Chris Carlin.
Welcome, everyone, to week 4 of the Kyle Flood Show here at Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick. If you're in the area, stop by. We're here for the next hour, and come on in and ask your questions to the coach, Kyle Flood, as the Scarlet Knights at 2-1 now in the season get set to host Arkansas, an SEC team coming to the Banks for the first time ever this coming Saturday at 3:30. The game is on ESPN, and our coverage on the Rutgers Radio Network will begin with countdown to kickoff at 2:30. The number to call in tonight, 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344. You can tweet us your questions at @RFootball, and you can ask him in person here tonight. We encourage you to do so. Mr. LeGrand is on assignment this evening. He is a fundraiser celebrating the retirement of his jersey from this past week. We'll get to that in a moment. But, Coach, good to see you. Congratulations on the win over Eastern Michigan.
It's good to be 1-0 again.
It's always good to be 1-0, no doubt. Let's start, though, with Eric and the halftime ceremony. It was moving. It was emotional. You could see in Eric what it really meant to him. You know, as you're in the midst of this football game and then all of a sudden you have to turn your attention to this, tell me what's going through your mind as you got ready to address the crowd.
You know, the first thing for me, it's a little bit of a surreal moment. Obviously, it's such a big occasion, retiring Eric's number, and the first time in the history of our program we've ever done it. And it's really the first halftime that I've seen in 20 years. And that sounds crazy, but as a football coach, you're always working during halftime, so I'm not out there. And that part of it, to me, I thought was really important. And as important it is to be 1-0 each week, that there are certain things in life that are just as important. And I think that ceremony and being a part of that for Eric was really important to me because I knew it would be important to the program. And to have him out there and knowing that Karen was on the field a little bit off to the side, but Karen was out there, and to get a chance to see the look on his face when the 52 was unveiled. That is a moment that I will cherish the rest of my life.
It is on the west side of the stadium at the very top of the video box. And for those who don't know, it also lights up, if I'm not mistaken.
It does. I saw it this morning when I came in. The sun hadn't come up yet, and it was fully illuminated, and it was a sight to see. Beautiful.
Well, it was terrific, and certainly everybody in attendance at High Point Solution Stadium this past week, everybody was really gripped to everything that you had to say and to everything that Eric had to say as well. And he took the occasion, I think it's really emblematic of the young man that he is, to go ahead and really start trying to build some momentum for Team LeGrand as part of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. And here's a guy, who was he talking about? Not so much himself. He was talking about the people that he sees at Kessler, at the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation every day, who don't get the notoriety that he does. And he said, I'm the voice for those people.
And the attitude that he's taken of, not why me, but why not me? Maybe I am the person who needs to be out in front of this. Maybe I am the person who needs to provide the hope to the other people that are in similar situations. That's what makes Eric so special. It
was such a terrific afternoon, there's no doubt. And it was capped off as well by a win, 28-10 over Eastern Michigan. Paul James, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns, currently leads the country in rushing. Outstanding. He is this week's Rutgers Touchdown Club Player of the Week. Yeah. Leading the country in rushing. Go to RutgersTDClub.com for more information. But, Coach, this young man has really, to the public, burst onto the scene. He's been a big part of your program here the last couple of years. Out of the first couple of games, how has Paul been able to do this?
I think there have been a lot of people involved, and we're all very proud of Paul, and he's had a great year so far. He's going to be here hopefully in a couple minutes. We'll get a chance to say hello to him. But I think he would be the first one to tell you that it's not really being number one in the country that's the important thing. It's the fact that the rushing yards he's gained have helped us win football games. And that is the most important thing in his mind of being a complete team player. He's a guy who not only did what he did in the running game, but was also one of the people blocking on kickoff return for Karan Pratt's touchdown run. So he's as unselfish a guy as we have on our team. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of what he's been able to accomplish so far, but he's got a lot left in the tank this year, and we're looking forward to seeing it.
Is there one trait in particular that has really come to the forefront for him this year, whether it's cutting, whether it's getting to the outside, to the corner? Has there been one thing that's kind of jumped out to you this year?
I think PJ's always been a very talented runner. I think he's in the best shape of his life. I think he had a great offseason. And from time, it's been chronicled already from time to time, whether it was his senior year in high school or his first couple years in our program, he got these just little nagging things that didn't allow him to get the carries that he's getting now. And now that he's been healthy, and again, in the bigger, stronger, and faster than he's ever been, his talents have been on full display on a consistent basis, and I think that's allowed him to have the year he's had so far.
Our telephone number, 855-FLOOD44, 855-356-6344. You can tweet us your questions at rfootball. I've been taking a couple of them during the week. And, of course, the number one question on everybody's mind coming out of the game, how is Gary Nova? I had about 3 or 4 different tweets on that. What can you tell us about Gary and how he is and his status here moving forward?
Gary's situation is one that is completely in the hands of our medical staff, and we have an excellent medical staff, and they determined over the last couple of days that he'd be able to come out to practice and do certain things and not participate in everything, but he has participated enough in the last 2 days that I feel very optimistic that we're going to see him out there Saturday.
Okay. Now, did you it was kind of unclear which play it happened on. Was that ever really determined? Because he took a couple of hard shots on that first drive.
I think when a player stays in, it's hard to determine exactly when it happened, but I think there were there were 2 different plays in that drive where I could see could have been the cause of what happened, but I don't know that we'll ever really know which one it was.
Well, he started 4 for 4, looked as sharp as a tack coming out of the gate, no doubt. And then Chase Dodd came on in relief, finished the day 4 of 9, only has to throw the ball 9 times, 45 yards. Assess Chase's performance for us.
We have complete confidence that if we were in a different kind of game, we could open up the offense and allow Chase to throw it more. It just wasn't the kind of game that we were in. And I think it's never easy being the backup quarterback because when you're asked to come in and perform, it's usually in a high-pressure environment, and just by virtue of the way you practice with your football team, he doesn't get the amount of reps that the starting quarterback does. I think now a week later he's gotten a lot more reps, and if called upon, I think he will be the Chase Dodd that we all remember.
And at the same time, exactly, we all remember. He's got 15 career starts, 24 career games under his belt. Is there an overlooked aspect or two of having that kind of experience at your backup quarterback spot?
We're very fortunate. There's no doubt. Yeah. I'm sure if you look around the country, you'll see a lot of backup quarterbacks that don't have any game experience, let alone the kind of game experience that Chase has, and we're very fortunate to have him.
Karan Pratt, you mentioned, 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Jeremy Deering took a very good shot on that first kick on the day. We'll get to him in a moment, but Karan, that's his first ever kick return, period. And all of a sudden he takes it to the house. And I asked him about it the other day. He just said it was like the Red Seas or the Scarlet Seas kind of parting for him.
He certainly has set the bar high for himself. Yeah. It didn't surprise me one bit for this reason. Karan is somebody that for the last couple of years has been a very reliable player for us, and when he's had the opportunity has made plays. And in this preseason, he may have had the best preseason of anybody on our team. So the fact that he was able to not only return that kick for a touchdown, but also run down on a punt as a flyer and be the first one down there and make a tackle, along with the contributions he makes on offense, he's become one of the more valuable pieces of the puzzle. The
block punt the week before as well. Maybe I'm setting the bar pretty high. Is he your new Devin McCourty?
He gets a chance. If he can continue to do it over the course of the season, he gets to be in that conversation, and that's a great conversation to be in when you talk about guys like Devin and Jason McCourty, Logan Ryan, the way they not only played their side of the ball but played special teams. They were elite in 2/3 of the game, and Karan is getting to that point now. We're only 3 games into the season, so we've got a lot of season left to play. But there's no reason for me to believe that he won't continue to do it because every day in practice he goes out and does it.
How is Jeremy Deering, by the way?
I think Jeremy's improving every day. We expect him to be out there with us tomorrow doing some things, and we're still a couple days away from game day, so I would put him in the optimistic category as well.
Okay, well, let's flip over to the defensive side. And, well, what do you always talk about? Coach's first couple of things that he will always say in keys to victory: run the football, stop the run. You ran the football very well. And all of a sudden, you look at the numbers, in Eastern Michigan rushes the ball 40 times for 38 yards. You had to be very pleased with that aspect.
When you look at that on the stat line, you know that you had a great opportunity to be 1-0, and that was certainly the case. And I think that makes everything else go. And when you can stop a team from running the football the way they want to, and just about every team does, unless they're going to throw it 70 times a game, just about every team you play will want to run the ball. If you can make them one-dimensional, that's how you end up with 10 sacks over the course of the first 3 games.
Now, tied into the defense, we have one of our another question from Twitter. This is from Paul Schwartz, came earlier in the week. It appears on defense you're playing a soft zone, allowing a lot of yards through the air. Your thoughts on that, and without giving away too much, obviously.
I don't know if that's accurate. We do a lot of things in coverage. We do play some zone coverage. Some of it's hard corner, some of it is soft corner. We do play man-to-man defense, and some of that is press man, and some of that is off man. So I think there's a variety of those things that go on within a game.
Steve Longa, 12 tackles, 2.5 for loss, 2 sacks. Had the chance to chat with him last week, and he felt from game 1 to game 2, in terms of getting the calls in on defense and really grasping the entire speed of all of it for a middle linebacker that's responsible for that, he made a big jump. Have you seen that? And all of a sudden, does that free Steve up to kind of mentally be, okay, we're ready to go here?
I think that the thing that I look to as a coach is Steve has been exposed to a lot of offense over the first 3 games. Mm-hmm. And we certainly would like to have come out of it 1-0 each week. Now, we weren't able to do that, but we did do it twice. But the first week he got exposed to a passing offense. Then the next week he got exposed to a little bit more of a gun-run, zone read option offense. And then last week, a little bit more of a traditional run play action type of offense. So I think now over the course of 3 weeks, he's seen everything that he's going to see for the year. Now he's got to hone his eyes in every week to what the game plan is and who we're playing, but it won't be the first time anymore. And I think that will allow him to improve.
We've got our first question from a gentleman here at Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick. Sir, what's your name and where are you from?
Hey, guys, it's Harry Josick from Hunterdon County.
How are you, Harry?
All right. There were some concerns about yards after contact and tackling. And you, I think, said that you were going to try and do a little bit more live tackling in practice. Were you able to do that, and did you see any improvement?
We did, and we actually did do some live tackling in practice this week. And I did see improvement, but now the key is to get the improvement in the games. And that happens at different stages. We're certainly all hoping, expecting, whatever the word is you want to use this week, that our tackling will continue to improve. But we will continue to do it in practice and see the improvements in practice. And at some point, we will get better at it. Now, I think we'll be better this week, but we don't stop this week. Even if we do get better, we're going to have other things to improve upon. But we were able to do some live tackling in practice this week, and I fully expect that on the perimeter we're going to be better tacklers.
How do you balance that? Because you want to keep your guys as fresh as possible during the season.
I think you have to do it in a very controlled setting. You want to minimize the number of bodies that are running into each other at a time. I think that's where the injuries occur. One-on-one, you usually can minimize that type of risk in practice, and that's what we did. We did a lot of one-on-one tackling drills, not 11-on-11.
Pass rush on the defensive side. We mentioned the 2 sacks for Steve Longa, 1.5 sacks for Marcus Thompson, and that's 3.5 for the year in 3 games. I guess that move to rush end is agreeing with him so far.
And I think now Marcus in his 3rd year playing defensive end, a guy who was a high school tailback, he's really blossoming in the position, and he has all the physical attributes of what a great pass rusher should be. He's very quick twitch. He runs very well. He's relentless in pursuit, and he's a powerful, explosive athlete. So you put all those things in one body, and you got a chance to get to the quarterback. And if you can get them off schedule, which we've been able to do, now you really have time. Because if a team is going to throw 3-step every play, it's going to be hard to get to the quarterback. But if you can make it 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, where they have to hold the ball just a little bit longer, you got a little bit better chance of getting there.
And they found themselves in that position quite a bit this past week. 9 sacks now, if I'm not mistaken, through 3 games as a whole. One other guy I wanted to ask you about was Lou Toller, who was very much involved in the tackling, made his first start here at Rutgers the other day. 10 tackles, second on the team in that regard. tell me about Lou, because a lot of fans don't know a whole lot about him. We've seen him a little bit now through the first couple of games. He's played a great deal, but this is a guy with a ton of experience coming from Western Michigan.
I think the best compliment I could give Lou is that when I watch him at practice, he looks like one of our players. He looks like one of the guys who came through our program. He knows how to prepare. He's a very serious football player. He's a very technique-conscious football player. When you watch him in the beginning of practice and in the individual drills, I couldn't be more pleased with what Lou has been able to give to us. And he's also providing leadership for some younger players at that position as well, and teaching them how to prepare.
We'll take our first time out of the night. We want to remind you to give us a call at 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344. You can tweet us your questions at RFootball, or if you're in attendance here at Brother Jimmy's, come on right over to the microphone, as we saw a moment ago, and ask the coach your question. We've got some things to get into, including special guest in attendance tonight and something very important going on this weekend for the coaching staff that we'll tell you about in just a few moments as Rutgers gets set to take on Arkansas this coming Saturday. Stay with us. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
Excuse me, is that your Diet Pepsi?
Sofia Vergara. Yeah, this is my Diet Pepsi. I love Diet Pepsi.
Do you love every sip?
Nothing is better than drinking a refreshing Diet Pepsi and just reveling in its crisp, delicious taste.
Well, you know what they say. If you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, it was meant to be.
So I should set this Diet Pepsi free and wait for it to come back. Then it'll be more delicious than ever. Would you hold my Diet Pepsi for me?
I'd love to.
Thank you. What happens now?
Go, get out of here. It can't come back to you if you're standing next to it.
Thanks, Sophia. I'll wait for you, Diet Pepsi.
The only thing better than an ice-cold Diet Pepsi is a free ice-cold Diet Pepsi.
Love every sip at dietpepsi.com.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
Oh, what up, Rutgers? Hey, guess what? I bet you didn't know you're about to have 3 different kinds of barbecue sauce all over that sweet, sticky mug of yours. Also, bet you didn't know, down south in North Carolina, we can actually make some of the best barbecue you've ever had in your ding-dong life. So come on down to Brother Jimmy's Barbecue and put some South in your mouth. Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, located at 5 Easton Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey. Or check us out at brotherjimmys.com. See y'all real soon.
When you shop an electronics big box store, do you feel like cattle? When you ask a question, do the salespeople look dazed and confused? Thought so. When you need a digital camera, come in and visit Unique Photo, New Jersey's only camera and video superstore. For over 60 years, customers have counted on Unique for price, quality, dependability, and service. Call 1-800-631-0300. That's 1-800-631-0300. Or visit us online at uniquephoto.com. Uniquephoto.com.
Unique Photo, we're all about you.
Back at Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick. It is week 4 of the Kyle Flood Show right here on the Rutgers IMG Sports Network. Our telephone number is 855-FLOOD-44. We're going to get a couple of your calls up here in just a few moments. 855-356-6344. Tweet us your questions at RFootball as well. And one thing I want to get into, Coach, this week, and I know this is very close to you and your family. Rutgers is actually off on the 28th, bye week next week. And throughout the country that week, coaches are going to be raising awareness for Coach to Cure MD 2013. We see this once a year, and it's about finding a cure for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Muscular dystrophy, if I can say it. But this is something that's very close to you because your son Kyle, one of his good friends, Danny Garofalo, is dealing with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. He's in attendance tonight. He's going to be on our pregame show on WCTC on Saturday. And this is something that is very, very important to you and has been for a long time.
It is. And I think, like a lot of things, they get very personal when you meet somebody. Mm-hmm. And I went through a good portion of my life having never even heard of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And then the AFCA, the American Football Coaches Association, got involved with DMD and Coach to Cure, and then the coaches trying to bring awareness to this issue started. And then 9 years ago when we moved to New Jersey, one of my son's first friends, who became one of his best friends, Danny Garofalo, we found out was actually afflicted with this. And that at that point, I think you have an obligation to do what you can. And I've been fortunate that because of being a college football coach, I was able to be a little bit more actively involved. And 1 year, Greg, when he was still the head coach here, was I believe the national spokesman. And he did a PSA with Danny and a couple other boys in our stadium, and that was great. And Danny and I and my son just filmed a PSA a couple weeks ago that I believe was shown on the scoreboard last week in the fourth quarter for the first time. And despite what I look like on the screen, we're going to continue to show it every week and continue to bring awareness to DMD and Coach to Cure. Well, and I think that's important.
And as we know, Danny's going to get some good media attention this week. We said he's going on the pregame show on Saturday. Talked to him before. Seems very excited for it. But here's the important thing. Because this next week it's going to happen and Rutgers is off next week, your coaches are going to be wearing the patches this week, as you did at your press conference the other day. And fans can get involved, and it's so easy these days with technology, and I think this is terrific. Just to donate $5 on your next mobile phone bill, all you have to do is text the word CURE to 90999. That's CURE to 90999. And look, any way you can raise awareness, I think this is a terrific thing that even though the schedule didn't fall quite right with everybody else, you're making sure we're getting it in.
No doubt. And we're going to get it in, and we're going to continue to run the PSA. And I don't know how to say this to you, Chris, but I actually spoke to Danny before, and he told me he was actually going to run the radio show, not just be on it.
He can call the play-by-play if he wants.
He would be the GM of the radio show for the day, so we may have to give a few people the day off.
He can absolutely do it. There's no doubt. Well, we're looking forward to it on Saturday, Danny, and I know you're looking forward to being at the stadium for the game this week as Rutgers looks to beat Arkansas for the second consecutive year. Let's get a couple of phone calls in. We've got them for the first time tonight. Mike is up in Cedar Grove, and he is on the Kyle Flood Show. Mike, how are you?
Good, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Good. We're very much looking forward to a high-profile Arkansas team coming in, and I think we're going to have a sellout, and a bunch of us are coming up for the game, and very much excited. I have a question for Coach, a real quick one. Coach, James has had such a phenomenal year. All three games, I think he's leading the NCAA Division I in rushing. Yet we notice he's still on special teams, and I know what a high emphasis you place on special teams. Will we continue to see him on special teams, or is that something you're considering options with?
We're always considering options on special teams, but I think you will continue to see him on special teams. You know, our best players have always played special teams here, whether it was Devin and Jason McCourty, guys like Kenny Britt played special teams here. It's important. We have found at Rutgers that we can win games on special teams. It's not just a way to pass the ball back and forth, and whether it's a kickoff return for a touchdown, a punt return for a touchdown, a blocked punt, or a blocked field goal, there's a lot of ways you can affect the outcome of a game, and we've been fortunate through the years that we've had, from some of our lowest profile players to our highest profile players, all of them have been very unselfish players and very willing to play special teams, even though it might not be the most glamorous thing to do. At Rutgers, it is glamorous.
All right, Mike? All right, we lost Mike. We appreciate you checking in. Now, up next on the phones is John. He is checking in with us here on the Kyle Flood Show. John, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
I was just wondering, obviously Darius has gotten bigger this year. What is, a good size for him in your opinion?
Darius Hamilton he's talking about.
I understand the question, but it's the size of a player has never been the focus of what we do in recruiting or even in our program. And that's not to say that players, when they're in our program, don't get bigger and stronger and faster, because they do. But for us, the game of football is about explosive movements, and the game of football is about leverage. And we've been very effective here on defense with players who maybe on paper are lighter than what other teams play with, but they play with tremendous effort and tremendous leverage, and they're explosive players coming out of Coach Cole's program.
No doubt about it. Coach Cole, I'll tell you what, in terms of energy, I don't know that know anybody who has more energy than Coach Cole. And the other day I was watching it again, the 15 Days of Spring with our football, the show that you've done the last couple of years. And it's always my favorite segment to watch Coach Cole firing those guys up, getting ready to go to the weight room. They can't wait to try to beat each other to get to the weight room.
I feel like I get in better shape just standing next to him.
Listen, that's not the case for me. But at the same time, I tell you what, he has got tremendous energy. There's no doubt about it. Let's get a couple of more of your tweet questions in for Coach Flood. Coach, Jamal Merrill, who was unable to go Jamal Morrell, I should say, was unable to go this past week. If he is unable to go against Arkansas, how will Rutgers create a better pass rush? That's from RU Nighttime. Pass rush has been pretty darn good so far with 9 sacks.
You know, I'll tell you what, it says here we've got 10.
10?
You know,
okay.
It says here we've got 10 in the course of 3 games. So I think, and again, the numbers aren't always indicative of what you're doing, but I think the amount of times that we've sacked the quarterback and hit the quarterback, I've been pleased with the pass rush. And what I notice in games is not only is it just hitting the quarterback, not only is it just sacking the quarterback, when a team changes philosophically how they play, whether it's more 3-step, quicker passes to make sure they don't get sacked, that's another positive effect that your pass rush has. And I've been very pleased so far.
855-FLOOD-44. We've got our next question in person here at Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick, and it's a repeat questioner, sir.
Hi, I'm Dan from Somerset.
Danny.
Back in June, Coach, I asked you a question about the secondary. I was very concerned about that. Well, we've played 3 games. How's the secondary doing? Name me some names.
Name you some names in terms of what?
How are they playing?
Oh, okay. We should just invite you down on Sundays. No, I'm very pleased with the way the secondary is playing. And when I say pleased, I'm pleased in that they're improving every week. And that's all you can ask of a player. You know, lesser experienced players are not always as effective as the older players. And when you're fortunate to have a group like we had last year that was so experienced, even with Logan Ryan as a junior, a 3-year starter, you know, there were so many experienced players that left our program last year. It did not surprise me that we weren't able to sustain that level. I knew there was going to have to be a little bit of a learning curve, and a guy like Lou Toller is helping us come through that learning curve. A guy like Jeremy Deering, who moves over and plays safety, gets better every week. You know, really in the first year full time playing safety, and then we've got some young players that are going to be exciting to watch for a long time. You know, a guy like Ian Thomas, number 23, and he's already got.
How about DJ?
I'm sorry?
How about DJ?
TJ Johnson.
Yeah.
You weren't going to give me a chance to get to him. You felt the need to move me. You're not an Ian Thomas fan, I'll tell him.
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Okay. No, I think Ian is a part of that as well. I'm sorry. I think TJ is a part of that as well. And a guy like Garif Glashan. You know, guys like TJ and Garif and Jeremy Deering, they're not young players, but they don't have the volume of experience either that some of those guys who left our program last year did. So as a position group under Coach Wilson, I see them getting better each week. And that is all I can ask of them as a coach. And I think as the season goes on, you guys will see that as well.
One guy that we didn't get a chance to mention in there, but the guy that's got the most experience certainly is Lorenzo Waters. He's got an interception this year, his preseason All-American Athletic Conference. How would you assess Lorenzo through the first couple games?
Well, you know, the previous question was about the younger players, and Lorenzo is such an established player for us. He plays at a very high level, and he did that last year. And he is the quarterback back there for that secondary. And he is a guy that makes the players around him better. And Lorenzo does a lot of things back there other than just come up and fit the runs and make tackles. Lorenzo's an excellent football player and certainly one of the leaders on our defense.
A couple of more questions on Twitter. You can also give us a call at 855-FLOOD-44, 855-356-6344. Coach, this is an interesting one, and it'll be good because you can kind of clarify for people who don't know. This is from Eric Orlando. What is the AAC or the NCAA or Rutgers injury report policy? Are there any penalties for misreporting, not reporting injuries?
You know, the NFL has a policy where things need to be reported, and I believe there are penalties for lack of disclosure or whatever it might be. But the NCAA does not have that, and the reality is I don't have to comment on any of it if I didn't want to. I do think we have the media at practice every day, and I don't think there's an issue with us releasing an injury report a couple times a week just to keep people updated. I don't think it discloses anything that the average fan wouldn't already know. But I try to do that every week, and I think we do it twice a week where we disclose the injury report just to keep people updated on what may happen as the week goes on. But I think sometimes the fans or other coaches may think you're hiding things. The reality is with most injuries are day to day.
Yeah.
And you really don't know until the next day when the player comes in the morning what that player is going to feel like and if they will be ready to go. So when I use words like optimistic or probable or doubtful, that's really the best way I can describe it, because even I won't know until tomorrow how that player is going to feel.
I think the other thing that gets lost in that, just in talking to people throughout the course of the week, just how important practice is in terms of preparing week to week. And, I know that might sound a little bit silly, but people think, well, if they're playing, they can take a couple of days off here and there. No, you got to be sharp, and you have to exactly know what everybody's doing for a particular week.
It only takes you to be a couple inches off on your fit on defense, and you're not in position to make a tackle or an interception or a play. It only takes a couple feet off in your route, 20 yards down the field, and a ball that you could catch, you don't catch. And those are all the things that get fine-tuned in practice.
Well, we're going to take a break. Come back. We'll take more of your phone calls. We're going to get into Arkansas this week under their new head coach, Brett Bielema from the University of Wisconsin, and a lot to discuss coming up as the Scarlet Knights look to improve to, all right, I'll say it, 1-0 this week. You got it, Coach. Stay with us.
It's the only thing that matters.
This is the Kyle Flood Show.
You may already know that AT&T is the nation's fastest 4G LTE network. And now independent research has confirmed that AT&T 4G LTE is also the most reliable. Whether you're connecting with family or getting the job done, you want a wireless network you can count on. AT&T, the nation's fastest and now most reliable 4G LTE network. Rethink possible. AT&T reminds you to never text and drive. It can wait.
Speed claim based on national carriers' average 4G LTE download speeds. Reliability claim based on data transfer completion rates on nationwide 4G LTE networks. 4G LTE not available everywhere.
And he hits Davis 40 yards downfield. Touchdown! What a huge grab. Let's see that again in slow motion. Going up, feet are in bounds, and he's pulling out his phone to get a free rate quote from Geico. So he could save hundreds of dollars on his car insurance. While he pulls down the ball with the other hand. Phenomenal. That was one for the highlight reel, folks.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
For over 20 years in New York City, Brother Jimmy's Barbecue has been serving up great times as well as some of the best barbecue this side of North Carolina. And now Brother Jimmy's is opening in downtown New Brunswick on the corner of Easton Avenue and Wall Street. Planning a party? We have private rooms to suit all your needs. Or let Brother Jimmy's Catering bring the party to your office or home. So come on down to Brother Jimmy's and put some South in your mouth. For reservations and event information, visit us at brotherjimmys.com. Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, located at 5 Easton Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey. See y'all soon.
When it comes to football, you want your favorite players to stay healthy and on top of their game. Well, AmeriHealth New Jersey wants the same thing for its members. That's why AmeriHealth New Jersey has you covered with the answers you need to understand how the new healthcare law is changing the way you buy health insurance. AmeriHealth believes the more you know about your options, the less stress you'll feel. No one cares more about keeping New Jersey healthy, and no one is doing more to keep rates affordable. To learn more about health insurance that pays, visit AmeriHealthNJ.com. AmeriHealth New Jersey is a proud sponsor of Rutgers football.
Back at Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick, New Jersey. It is week 4 of the Kyle Flood Show. Give us a call at 855-FLOOD44. That's 855-356-6344. Or tweet us your questions at @RFootball. For the coach, Kyle Flood, as the Scarlet Knights get set to take on Arkansas this coming Saturday. While we have a chance, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network. Back with Coach Flood, getting set for Arkansas this week. So let's get into the Razorbacks just a little bit. And I know you never want to talk about what happened in the past, but the win last year at Arkansas, 35-26 win, that was a terrific night for Gary Nova and for the Scarlet Knights as a whole. Gary threw for 397 yards, a career high, 5 touchdowns. I know one game doesn't play into another, but reflect just briefly, if you will, on what it meant to go down to the SEC and get a win like that.
It was an exciting night for us. We thought they had a good football team. Certainly before the season, they were ranked very high in all the preseason rankings, and for good reason. They had an excellent quarterback. I believe he's playing with the Raiders now.
Yep.
They had a tremendous receiver with great speed who gave us trouble really all evening. They had big, strong defense, and those are the kind of games when you go on the road and you're able to win, you can build on them through an entire season, even though it is just a one game outcome. And I thought that was an important game for our team. But this year, it's a completely new coaching staff on their part. And for us, we have 2 new coordinators. So I think our team is significantly different as well. A lot of the pieces are different. Coach Belima philosophically plays the game much different than they played it last year. They are going to try to run the football and stop the run, very, very much like we are. I think philosophically, this year, our teams are very similar. And I think you're going to have a tremendous test of wills early in this football game on Saturday.
Well, Brett Bielema likes to run the football, and if you think that's just coach speak, all you have to do is look at some of the numbers so far. So Paul James leads the country in rushing, but they have 2 players in the top 10 in rushing, and Alex Collins and Jonathan Williams. Collins is a freshman, first freshman in SEC history to start a career with 3 straight 100-yard games, and Williams is averaging 131 yards per game, so no mystery here. Just at a quick look, it looked like the run-pass ratio is about 3-1 for them.
Does not surprise me at all. They are a very physical football team. They'll be the biggest offensive line we've seen to date, and maybe the biggest we'll see all year. Both of their backs are over 200 pounds. You mentioned Alex, who's the freshman, and Jonathan, I believe, is a redshirt freshman or a sophomore. Both big, strong, physical running backs, and I guess as one of the callers pointed out before, we're just not that big on defense. So it'll be a great challenge for our guys on defense to stop the run this week, but we're looking forward to it.
We've got our next question from someone in attendance.
I've been waiting for this guy now. I saw this guy. He reached out to me on Twitter today, and I was wondering if he was actually going to show up. He was trying to rally the student body to Brother Jimmy's. So I don't know if that gets him a free appetizer or something tonight, but he was trying to rally the troops.
What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Scott. I'm originally from Long Valley, New Jersey, but currently I'm a student here. Very proud of it.
All right. Outstanding. What's up?
Just wondering, the special teams play in the
We call that feedback.
The special teams play in the first 3 games has been really strong. I was just wondering if you guys worked on that specifically in the offseason, or it's just guys stepping up.
You know, it's been a big part of our program for a long time, the importance we place on special teams. And it's something we work on all year round, although some of the drills you do in special teams are tough to simulate in the offseason. But when you recruit your players and you value athleticism and then you do things in the offseason to try and make them even better athletes, I think what it leads to is a better team on special teams. And our guys to date in the first 3 games, we've done a good job, and it'll be an important piece on Saturday for sure.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
As it always is. Good job, Scott. We appreciate you coming by. Again, 855-FLOOD-44, your telephone number. Coach Bielema was a guy that you met when you first was it before last season that you met him?
It was. It was actually after my first spring out in Arizona.
Okay.
There was a head coach's event that I was at, and he was there. He and Rob Smith are very close. I believe Coach Smith was working in Iowa when Coach Bielema was working in Iowa. And I knew Brett was going to be out there, so Rob reached out to him, and we spent a couple hours together one night just talking about program philosophy. And at the time, he was still out at Wisconsin, and it was very insightful for me because I found out that a lot of the things they believed in out there were the same things we believed in, and they had success doing it. So it confirmed a lot of my beliefs.
When you're a first-year coach, do you do that a lot? Do you reach out to a few different guys? How did you approach that last year?
You try to, but it really is hard to have the valuable conversations unless there's some type of mutual acquaintance.
Right.
And that's where it became really valuable for me because of Coach Smith.
Okay, we got another question from a young lady here in attendance. What's your name?
And my name is Jennifer Hahn, and I'm from Closter, New Jersey.
All right, Jennifer, what's
up? And for the last 2 weeks, I've been into home games like Norfolk State and Eastern Michigan, and we just won twice. So how does the crowd support even help the team in the stadium this weekend against Arkansas Razorbacks?
I think the crowd support is critical, and I think I put something out to the students. I know our student section is already sold out for the game. I hope I hope that all the students who want to come to the game find a way into the stadium that day, because I think it's going to be an electric atmosphere. And the student body and the fan base that's in the stadium, they are the 12th man in the game. And when they can create so much excitement that not only does it excite our team, but it creates a distraction for the other team in the form of delay of game penalties and false start penalties because the other team is struggling to communicate. All of those things help you win, and that's what your home field advantage really should be about. And I believe that at 3:30 this Saturday, High Point Solutions Stadium will be the best 12th man in the country.
Absolutely. And the terrific thing I've seen with Rutgers fans over the last several years, this is the only time I've ever seen it, but it actually happened. You'll remember, I believe it was South Florida in 2007 or 8, and it was a game. It was a very tight ball game down the stretch, but so many Rutgers fans had made the trip. They were all sitting in one corner of an end zone, and it's the first time I have ever seen a road team, their fans, actually cause a delay of game for the home team, and that happened against South Florida. It was actually very critical in the game. They were pinned back deep inside their own 10-yard line. You remember what I'm talking about?
I do, and it was very surprising because people from the Northeast and the New York, New Jersey area are generally quiet people. It's not very often that you see that happen. But our fans, they travel with us on the road, and it's a great support system for us and our team. But at home, it's on a whole different level. But you're right, on the road, it doesn't happen very often. That was a proud night for us.
Well, they were allowed the first 2 weeks here at home at High Point Solution Stadium, and certainly for Arkansas, you'd expect it to be right up there. A couple of more questions from Twitter based on the Razorbacks, and a couple of them are going to go right to this run game. Coach, this one from Chris Waskey. In terms of stopping the Arkansas run, when you have a team like that likes to run the football as much as they do, what are the biggest keys, and how tricky is it to guard against the play action as a result?
I think the first thing is the more important thing. To stop the run, you have to be willing to be physical up front, and it starts with your defensive line, and that excites me because I think we've got a defensive line that is really looking forward to the challenge this week of playing against the biggest offensive line that we'll see to date. We got a guy here with us tonight, Ike Holmes. I thought it's always important to me to have a nose guard close, and if Eric can't be here, then we'll bring Ike, and we'll get him here at the radio show. But whether it's Isaac Holmes, Kenny Kirksey, Jamil Morrell, Marcus Thompson, David Maluski, Darrell Stevenson, all these guys, Dwani Mera, who's really come along this year, all of these guys are critical, and we're fortunate to have a lot of them that we can rotate through the game and keep fresh. But that's where it begins. If you can hold the line of scrimmage and be in the backfield, more importantly, you can disrupt the run game, and then those play-action passes get a little bit easier to handle.
One question on Twitter had to do with Al Page. We talked about him last week. Had a 1.5 sacks, also had a couple of penalties in that game. Did not play this past week, and they were just asking why did Al Page not dress this past week?
That was an oversight on my part, leaving him off the injury report. He'll be back on there tomorrow, and people will have an idea of what it is. But it's nothing that's going to be long-term. We're looking forward to seeing Al back after the bye week, but it was nothing more than that, just oversight on my part, leaving him off.
Another fan was asking about that, too. Do you expect most everyone to be healthy after the bye week?
I don't know that it'll be everybody. Once you get into the season, it's tough, I think, for the entire team to be healthy, but I don't think we're dealing with anything that any other team is dealing with. I think everybody in the country right now has got some minor issues health-wise and probably some other guys that maybe aren't going to play the whole year.
Got about 15 more minutes for you to get your questions in for the coach. We've had some good ones already. Feel free, if you're in attendance, to come on up front and see our man Jimmy. We will also take your calls at 855-FLOOD44. That's 855-356-6344. Or you can tweet them at @RFootball. Let's take a quick time out. More to do. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
Excuse me, is that your Diet Pepsi?
Sofia Vergara. Yeah, this is my Diet Pepsi. I love Diet Pepsi.
Do you love every sip?
Nothing is better than drinking a refreshing Diet Pepsi and just reveling in its crisp, delicious taste.
Well, you know what they say. If you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, it was meant to be.
So I should set this Diet Pepsi free and wait for it to come back. Then it'll be more delicious than ever. Would you hold my Diet Pepsi for me?
I'd love to.
Thank you. What happens now?
Go, get out of here. It can't come back to you if you're standing next to it.
Thanks, Sophia. I'll wait for you, Diet Pepsi.
The only thing better than an ice-cold Diet Pepsi is a free ice-cold Diet Pepsi.
Love every sip at dietpepsi.com.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
What's up, Rutgers? Y'all ready for some football? Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick is your headquarters for Scarlet Knight football, as well as your home for the Jets, Giants, and all your favorite NFL teams. With over 30 HD TVs, we serve up all the NFL action on Sunday and Monday nights, with amazing food and drink specials all game long. So come on down to Brother Jimmy's and put some South in your mouth. For reservations and event information, visit us at BrotherJimmy's.com. Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, located at 5 Easton Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey. See y'all soon.
No matter what you earned your undergraduate degree in, an MBA from Rutgers Business School will help you build your brand and get you the skills you need to succeed in a tough job market. Rutgers MBA graduates get jobs. U.S. News & World Report recently ranked Rutgers among the top 20 business schools in job placement. With convenient locations in Newark, New Brunswick, Jersey City, and Morristown, Rutgers Business School offers flexible and convenient options to help you pursue your MBA full or part-time. Become part of Rutgers' passionate network of more than 30,000 business school alumni. Think MBA, think Rutgers MBA.
We're back at Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick. More time for your questions for Coach Flood. We've got some more coming in on Twitter. Arkansas is coming in on Saturday. Razorbacks at 3-0. They have defeated Louisiana Lafayette, Samford, and most recently Southern Miss this past week, 24-3. I'm going to get back to that in a moment. One thing I wanted to ask you about was a general college football question, because it was something that we saw this past week. Controversial ending between Wisconsin and Arizona State, where the Wisconsin quarterback, and his name escapes me at the moment, went with 19 seconds left to put his knee down, give himself up, and the officials kind of let it go. Arizona jumped on the ball as if it was a fumble. This was a strange play all the way through. Did you've seen the, I know some of the highlights here. What do you think? What are you thinking about as a coach as all that's going on?
Well, I would bet that there's a lot of coaches around the country that are telling their players in that situation, don't leave the ball on the ground, first of all.
Right.
Do everything you can to avoid the situation. Hand the ball to the official. That way the official can spot it, and you have all the time you need to then spike the ball with more than 3 seconds left, because the clock was running, and you don't want that to be the last play of the game, so you can get your field goal team out of there. But I don't think that the officials will allow that to happen again. I think that the Pac-12 officials have come out with a statement of some kind, apologizing, and I don't think that'll be an issue. But the offensive football team can avoid it by handing the ball to the official. That's for sure.
And two things that should be clarified in terms of the rules. Number one, you mentioned the 3 seconds thing. That's new this year. If you want to spike it before the end of the half or before the end of the game, there has to be 3 seconds or more on the clock. Why is that? Do you know why they went to that rule?
I'm not really sure why they went to the rule, but the way the rule works is if the clock is running, any play that starts with 3 or less seconds to go will be the final play of the half.
Right.
Regardless of how long that play takes. I'm not really sure what the impetus for the rule was, but that's how I understand it, and that's the way we've been coaching it.
So does it have to be? It has to be then 4 seconds or more.
Correct, and I think you're probably as an offensive coach going to tell your players, make sure we spike it at 5 and let's not leave any room for error.
And the other thing is, I've seen it both ways. I thought that you technically, when you're giving yourself up as a quarterback did on the play, you actually have to be down. But is that not the case? You just have to indicate, I'm giving myself up.
No, generally, as soon as you indicate that you've given yourself up, they're going to blow the play dead.
Okay, so you don't technically have to have your knee down. For the fans who have seen that play, it's been everywhere this week. So his knee did get the ground, but at any rate, it was certainly a difficult one, I'm sure, for them to get over. But there wasn't an apology, as Coach mentioned, from the Pac-12 on that. Okay, back to the game this week. A couple of more questions. First of all, their quarterback situation. They lost their starter this past week in Brandon Allen, who hurt his shoulder diving for a first down in the first quarter. They have not said publicly yet whether or not he was going to play. A.J. Derby took his place and was only asked to throw the football 6 times. When you're a coach on the opposite side of that, how do you prepare, and do you expect them, or from what you saw, Are they any different with one guy versus the other?
I don't believe that they'll be any different. And even their starter over the course of 3 games only threw it 44 times. So, I don't think you're going to see this football team come in with the idea of airing the football out. It's not the way it's just not the way they play the game. And I think whether their quarterback is Brandon Allen or whether their quarterback is A.J. Derby, they're more than capable of running the offense that they want to run. And they have talented football players, not just their starters, but their reserves as well. So, our game plan will start with stopping the run on defense, and then everything will work off of that. But I don't think their game plan on offense will change regardless of who the quarterback is.
On the defensive side of the ball, they're giving up 13 points per game. They're doing a good job in stopping the run at 105 rush yards per game. And they also have 9 sacks, led by Chris Smith, the defensive end, with 4.5 sacks. What do you see on their defensive side?
They're very big in the middle. They're big, strong, physical, thick guys in the middle, and they've got some tall, long, athletic guys on the outside. And Chris Smith is a guy we played against last year and a very talented football player. We knew that a year ago. It does not surprise me the success he's having. They play excellent defense on first and second down, and they've got a very exotic third down package that you have to deal with. So if you get stuck in a situation where you do have a third and long, you're going to have to deal with some unique blitz packages.
Interesting. Well, now, you mentioned the 2 guys on the inside. I meant to ask you about this earlier, but I'll ask you now. Dallas Hendrickson, how did he play this past week in your estimation?
Very pleased. Very pleased with how Dallas played. And for a guy who had to step in after really not playing very much the year before, and because of a death in the family, hadn't been with us at the beginning part of the week. He stepped in and he did a nice job of managing the game. We had 1 snap infraction issue during the game, but aside from that, I thought he played a clean game, and that's what we were looking for more than anything.
Nice to have an older guy there to be able to slide in when you need him to when Bateem went down. No doubt about that. Now, with a team like Arkansas coming in, it's certainly, in terms of talent, in terms of coaching, in terms of everything, the most talent that we've seen come in, no doubt, so far this year. Just give me your estimation of what it means to have a team from the SEC now come here and play at Rutgers, and the idea that Rutgers is on that level now to have those teams come in.
I don't know if the conference they play in is really of all that much importance to our team. Okay. I don't think that's really not what we look at. For us as a football team, we know we're playing another BCS level football team. That's the first thing. And we also know we're playing a very talented football team. We played them last year, so we know what kind of talent level they have. We're playing a team that's had success. They're 3-0 so far, and they've been able to do the things that they want to do in every game this year. They've been able to impose their will on their opponents. So now, for us, it gives us an opportunity really to test ourselves as a football team, not because they're from one conference or another, but because we know they have an excellent football team. They certainly have an excellent coaching staff that is coaching those guys right now. A guy like Coach Bielema, I'm trying to make sure I pronounce his name correct. Bielema, I apologize. Sorry, Brett. I'll just call him Brett from now on. But Brett's done a great job there transforming the program. And Jim Chaney on offense, their offensive coordinator, the same offensive coordinator that worked with the quarterback for the Saints, Drew Brees.
Yep.
Drew, not a bad player. And on defense, they've got a guy in Chris Ash who was his defensive coordinator at Wisconsin. They've got a position coach in Randy Shannon who was the head coach at Miami, and certainly a very accomplished football coach in his own right, amongst other very talented assistants. Their special teams coordinator, Charlie Partridge, is somebody who worked on Coach Wanstadt's staff at Pitt. And so I'm pretty familiar with the guys he has working there, and they're very high-quality people and high-quality coaches. So we understand the challenge that is before us, and that's what makes this week so much fun for us as a program. We get to test ourselves against what we believe is one of the better teams in the country.
We'll take one more time out. We'll get Coach's final thoughts on facing Arkansas this week. One last chance for you to get your questions in. Tweet us at rfootball or 855-FLOOD44. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
Hey, everybody, this is Coach, and I want all you tried and true college football fans to enter the AT&T Be the Fan sweepstakes. Tackle my weekly challenge, and you might be the fan who wins a VIP trip to ESPN College Game Day. Find out how you can win at attbethefan.com. AT&T. Rethink possible.
No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. citizens and resident aliens of the 50 U.S. states or D.C. of the age of majority. Ends 11:59 p.m. Central Time, November 29, 2013. Official rules at attbthefan.com. Void where prohibited.
Rutgers football fans, it's time to join the 1,200-plus members of the Rutgers Touchdown Club in supporting Rutgers football 365 days a year. To become a member, please visit us at rutgerstdclub.com. Your membership includes regular meetings with Rutgers football coaches, discounts from local vendors, bus trips and giveaways, and a whole lot more. It's time for you to show your Rutgers spirit by joining the Touchdown Club today. Also, please support the team by purchasing 50-50 chances prior to each home game in the stadium parking lots. Visit us at rutgerstdclub.com for more information. Go Rutgers!
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
This commercial is brought to you by Brother International, the makers of fax printers, multifunction printers, scanners, sewing, and embroidery machines. Brother is always at your side.
You can make business cards with your name, print from hiking, hang in frames, sew some shades, block the sun, keep out creepy peeping toms. With Brother at your side, always good times. You got a brother at your side, and whatever follows always ends up in good times. You can make a basket cover for your cat, another for his brother, so they both match. No more mess, make the best label, all relieve that stress. Brother's always undercover and always around. 106 years, better keep on counting. You got a brother at your side, and whatever follows always ends up in good time. With the brother at your side, with the brother at your side.
Couple of minutes left with the head coach Kyle Flood on this week's edition of the Kyle Flood Show, live from Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick. Want to remind fans, CoachToCureMD.org. CoachToCureMD.org to help out with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Rutgers coaches this week will be wearing the patch on their arms to raise awareness for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and you can text CURE, C-U-R-E, to 90999 to donate $5. And that's really where technology gets a chance to do something very good and very easily. Again, text CURE to 90999. Okay, so we get to the part of the broadcast where each week we catch up with you about the keys. And I'm going to take a stab in the dark here. Let's see if I can guess. We're going to need to run the football.
Yes.
Stop the run.
Yes.
Avoid turnovers.
Yes.
Force turnovers.
Yes.
Anything else?
Kickoff coverage, kickoff return.
Kickoff coverage, kickoff return.
The things we call want-to special teams. And really, I think what that boils down to, when you look at the statistics that win football games, things like rushing yardage, you can quantify rushing yardage in terms of how much you give up or how much you gain, and it equates to wins over the course of time. Drive start, and that's where kickoff coverage and kickoff return play a huge part, not the only part, but a huge part in the average drive start of a football team. And then big plays. Now, how do big plays happen? Well, big plays happen because people have to commit so many players to stopping the run. It gives you opportunities. Or if you're not successful enough stopping the run, now you have to commit more people. It gives them opportunities. So those are the reasons why we value those three categories so much. And over time, they have proven to win football games, and that ultimately being 1-0 is the most important outcome for the weekend.
Coach, great to see you as always. We will see you on Saturday at High Point Solution Stadium.
Well, I appreciate that. It's been a great week here at Brother Jimmy's. Great to have Ike here. Great to have Kevin Snyder here. PJ James and Karan Pratt a little bit late. I think Kevin said he's going to eat their dinner.
That'll teach you not to be late, no doubt.
That's right. Don't be late for dinner.
It would certainly teach me not to be late. Listen, next week we do not have a show with the bye week, and we'll return the week after. Rutgers in a couple of weeks will be back on the road as they will face SMU down in Dallas. But they are focused this week on being 1-0 as they take on Arkansas. It is a 3:30 kickoff at High Point Solution Stadium. Be in the parking lot early, get your tailgate going, and then get in your seats and get loud early as Rutgers looks to improve to 3-1 on the season, and yes, 1-0 more importantly this week. Thanks for joining us.
Pre-game at 2:30. Be there and be loud.
That's right. This has been the Kyle Flood Show.
You've been listening to The Kyle Flood Show, live from Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick. The executive producers of the Rutgers IMG Sports Network are George Pine and Ben Sutton. Associate producers Joe Potter, Chris Ferris, and John Willie. Network manager Brad Law. I'm staff announcer Carl Shannon. Special thanks to Rutgers Athletic Director Julie Herman and the staff and management of flagship station WCTC.